So in this problem, we need to find out the value of the given trigonometric expression. Let us begin. What we'll do here, we'll first try to simplify each of the trigonometric ratio. We'll begin with the first one. Here we have cosine of pi plus x. Now cosine of pi plus x can be also represented as cosine of 2 times pi over 2 plus x. Now what we have here is an even multiple of pi over 2, 2 being an even number. So whenever we have an even multiple of pi over 2, then the cosine is going to stay as cosine, but the new angle will then be equals to x. So we have cosine of x, but we'll also have to take care of the sine of the final result. So 2 times pi over 2 means we start from the first quadrant and go in the anti-clockwise fashion. So in the first quadrant we have 1 pi over 2, and in the second quadrant we have 2 pi over 2. Now, we are also adding x to it. Now, x is an acute angle lying between 0 and pi over 2. So, it is going to take us to the third quadrant. Now, in the third quadrant, only the tangent and cotangent are positive. Everything else is negative. So, cosine of pi plus x is actually negative cosine of x. So, let's keep it aside. Then, we have the next trigonometric ratio, cosine of negative x. Now, we know that cosine is an even function. So, cosine of negative x, that's simply equivalent to cosine of x. Coming to the third ratio, we have sine of pi minus x. So that will be equals to sine of 2 times pi over 2 minus x. Now we have an even multiple of pi over 2. So sine is going to remain as sine and the angle will be x. Now 2 times pi over 2 means we are in the second quadrant. But this time we are subtracting x from it. Now x being an acute angle is not going to affect it. So we're still going to lie in this second quadrant as long as x value is less than 90 degrees. So that means in this quadrant, the sine and cosecant are positive. So our final value is also going to be positive sine x. And then we have cosine of pi over 2 plus x. So here we have an odd multiple of pi over 2. That's because we have 1 times pi over 2. So cosine must transform to sine whenever we have an odd multiple. So it will be sine x, and we have to check in which quadrant we lie. We have 1 times pi over 2, but we are also adding x to it, which is going to take us to the second quadrant. Now in the second quadrant, sine and cosecant are positive, everything else is negative. So we have to look at the original trig function. So we started over with cosine, so its result is going to be negative. Don't get confused that we have a sine function, so we should keep it positive. No, it's negative because of the fact that we are working with a cosine function and its value is going to be negative in the second quadrant. So we have simplified each of the trig ratios. Now what we can do, we can replace this value. So let's go to the original problem. So we have cosine of pi plus x. So that can be replaced with negative cosine of x multiplied to cosine of negative x, which came out to be simply cosine of x whole divided by sine pi minus x. So this came out as sine x multiplied to cosine of pi over 2 plus x. So this is negative sine x. Fine. So the negative and negative sign cancels out. We have cosine squared x divided by sine squared x. So we know the cosine of a sine, that ratio is the cotangent function. So that means our final value is going to be cotangent squared x.